Cool, yeah. Good way to be able to strip them out.
And hello, everybody. We're live.
All right.
What's up? We are here for another Sunday D&D session. Paradigm 2. And Baz dropping a resub, 27 months. Look at that. Magic the Gamer dropping in as well. What's up, Magic? Hippity hype with the Magics. And so we're missing a trash man at the moment. He will be here sometime in the next sort of 20-30 minutes. We're also missing a Sadiq or Marath, but he'll also be here a little bit later on. So we're gonna start with our current crew, and we're gonna move forward. As I say, Uth will join us when he arrives, but he's finishing work a little later than expected. And then about 9 o'clock my time, so about 7 o'clock Australian, Sadiq should probably arrive as well. So we'll keep an eye out for him in the chat, and we will probably take a short break when he gets here, and we can sort of film in where we're at and what we're up to. Moving forward, guys, I'm gonna try and keep our recaps relatively brief. I know some of my recaps have gotten quite long-winded, and I really want to try not to eat too much into our actual D&D time, so I want to try and keep them as brief as possible. Also, moving forward, Wednesday nights for the next 2 weeks, we're going to just be doing some map making stuff. There is a poll open in the Discord if you are interested in being involved in the mini adventure named Into the Snake Pit. Go express your interest in the polls. We have 7 already interested. The more the merrier. We're only going to have 4 players playing in it, however, so those that have put your name into the poll, we're going to put you into a roll table. We'll roll that live on stream at some point, and we'll choose the players, and I'll give them all the information they need. So what we're doing with that is, obviously we're kind of waiting on Roasted Chicken to organise his mini adventure as well. So if I've not heard from him in 2 weeks about a date for his mid-adventure, I'm going to go ahead with the Snake Pit, because I don't want to obviously have my Wednesday night without content for too long. So if I don't get a definite date from him in that time frame, we'll go ahead with the Snake Pit adventure, and we'll run that, and that could run between 4 and 10 sessions. Really depends on the players and how much RP we make, and this is obviously the decisions they make. Could potentially end in a TPK, we never know. But yeah, so that's moving forward. So without any further ado, I guess we should get into tonight's session. And why is my music not running? It is running. Very quiet. There we go. So last we left off, you had completed your first mission, albeit fairly simple and mundane. You had brought back the only thing that you'd found in the abandoned cave that you'd been sent to investigate, which was a Warforged unit by the name of LV. It had expressed its dislike for Tolvier, and for reasons dealing with its directives. You then returned to the keep, and it was stated that this unit must be returned to the Mage's Tower, where it would be repaired, or at least looked at to find out what was going on. Tolver expressed that he wished to escort it back to the tower himself, but was reminded of his rank and his length of service, that was not going to be possible. This upset him a little bit, to say the least. The squad was then given the remainder of the day to themselves as a reward for completing this particular task. Many of you decided to head for the library and further research into this strange creature, and to the histories of Paradigm were conducted. Marath also returned after some time with a veteran doing whatever he was doing at the Temple of the Steel Lady, and he rejoined the squad in the barrack rooms. Also towards the end of the day, LV was also returned to the keep, seemingly different than the last time you had met, and Uth was volunteered, shall we say, to deliver this news to Tolvir, who did not react as what Uth may have suspected he would have, but nonetheless he gave the information. Eventually, your now full squad bunked back down, heads hit the hay, and you prepared for a night's rest. During the course of this evening, however, one of your party suffered a nightmare of sorts and woke in the middle of the night, alerting LV to movement in the room. Bruce said he was okay and eventually went back to sleep. And this is pretty much where we rejoin you guys now, as Dilly, you would already be awake. You've risen early and have returned from your morning routine. The rest of the crew are probably still sleeping, I would imagine, at this point. It's still relatively early, just before sunrise. We will move back over to the keep. You then, one by one, you start to wake. Tolvi would probably be one of the early risers as well, as he's used to this military lifestyle, and body clock kicks in. Even the rest of you would start to stir as the sun starts to rise. As far as the day, it is now Didrith, the 32nd day of Azil. Weather-wise, Dilly, you would probably be the first to have noticed as you rose and come back to the barracks. It is slightly overcast, minimal cloud in the sky. It looks like it might burn off by midday, perhaps. It's springtime. The weather's starting to warm. You've had a few light spring rains. Strange thunderstorm a few weeks ago, though, which seemed out of the ordinary, but didn't seem to bother too many people. So I will turn it over to you guys as you now start to rise and wake. Marath is up doing press-ups. Not unusual for Marath. He's a big dude. Uth is sort of stirring as well. You can see that he's awake, but he's again usually the last to rise. He's a little sluggish, but generally follows most orders these days. It's been a month-ish since you've joined, and he's starting to kind of resemble a soldier, sort of.
Various will hang off the top of the bunk. Oh, Uth, you look like crap. And I swear I heard you scream last night. Or something. I've written it down anyway.
Thanks, Various.
Are you alright?
Yeah, fine. But he definitely looks tired. Like he's looks like he's had a bit of a rough night.
Do you need a hand waking up, Oos?
No, I'm up.
I think we should leave him to himself for a bit. He looks like he could use a little bit of extra time this morning.
That's not how it works, Varys.
I mean, we haven't got any orders yet.
Until he's just going to mythically look at a pocket watch and say 5, 4, 3.
Not quite yet. It is still, like I said, it's right before sunrise. You guys have woken a little earlier than usual. What is Tolvir's morning routine as he drags himself up off the floor?
Tolvir's going to stand up. He's going to pick up his axe off his bed, and he's like, I had a wonderful dream about you last night, old friend. And then he turns around and looks at Albie and says, you're in it too. Turns around, looks back at his axe. Nice smile on his face.
LV responds, ready to report, Corporal.
Yeah, give it a couple of minutes, and sunrise should be in a few minutes, and then...
Do you wish a recording of the night's wash?
Pardon?
Do you wish a recording of the night's watch?
Sure. Why not?
There was minor to report. Private Uth jumped up in bed, was frightened, went back to sleep.
I wasn't frightened.
End of report.
Did you record it? Record it? Because I've always been fascinated with what I sound like when I'm snoring.
My memory banks do not record everything in that respect, unfortunately.
Oh, it's a real shame.
So, you know how like a goat, like a little kid, when it's doing the ah thing? Yeah, you do that in a more deeper tone.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
That must be really annoying.
Yeah, it fucking is.
I second that. Says Oath from the bottom bunk. Mara sort of says, I didn't hear a thing, sleep like a fucking baby.
Let's not go into why you sleep like a baby.
He sort of raises an eyebrow at you.
What do you think we'll do next now that we've got LV? Like, surely they want him doing something pretty significant. He's pretty unique, I think.
Who knows?
Do you have all your faculties as you once were, LV?
LV is at 70% of what he once was.
We could be training that up with him.
I think first thing we need to do is give him a backpack, and then he can carry all this stuff.
I appreciate your enthusiasm, Corporal, but do you want the only thing that can't technically die to be burdened by luggage?
Yes.
As soon as the corporal speaks, LV's backplates open, and he says, I have a pack. What would you like me to carry, sir?
Oh, jeez, you're putting me on the spot this hour in the morning.
Do you require assistance waking up, Corporal?
When we collect our supplies, I will let you know. For the time being, you're all right.
Affirmative, Corporal. Awaiting orders.
I think he said something about being an assassin. We probably don't want to weigh him down too much if he's like stealthy and stuff. Are you stealthy, LV?
Yes, I have stealth capabilities. That is affirmative.
Oh.
Since you're made of metal, do you go clang, clang, clang when you're trying to stealth, like someone wearing armor would? You are muted.
Negative. I have boiled leather armor, tempered metal, overskin with magi-polyceramic alloy endoskeleton.
That was a waste of a perfectly good explanation.
Welcome, trash. Ruth's still in his bed. He's awake, but he's tired from his nightmare from the night before. Dilly has offered to aid him in getting up, which he has declined rather quickly.
And LV has made it clear to the entire party
that you woke up scared. Yeah.
I'm...
You have nightmares, do you?
I don't think his microphone's working.
If you'll excuse me, gentlemen and LV, I'm going to go wait outside for the sergeant. And she will leave the room and just stand outside the door waiting for the sergeant to come.
Yep, we hear you.
Awesome. Yay, I made it just.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
Sorry for being late.
No, you're good, man.
Good.
Don't stress.
They just decided to take out the ones that weren't sick and put them back in the mains.
All good, bud. We all know about the milking thing. So you'll be getting ready. You've gotten yourself up. So yes. So Tolwe just asked you a question, however. So you'd be aware that LV has just basically ratted you out for waking up in the middle of the night, seeming scared, because he reported the night's watch to the corporal.
And what was the question again?
Do you often have nightmares?
Not that I'm aware of. Why?
I'm just afraid that we'll be out in the middle of the bush in the middle of the night, and you'll wake up screaming and making everything in the area aware of our presence.
LV, did I wake up screaming?
Affirmative.
Okay. Then reassign me to a different barracks, if you're worried.
It was only mild screaming. I mean, wasn't too bad.
Affirmative.
Oh, if the corporal is worried, he can get me reassigned then, can't he?
I mean, I'm pretty sure the corporal just had a dream about using his axe on LV, so I think this is the least of our worries.
I never said that. Anyway, we should get up and go outside and get ready.
Yes, Corporal.
LV, if he wakes up screaming and we're out in the bush, just make sure you wake everyone else up.
Correct. You do not want me to stop the screaming.
Oh, well, I mean, sorry. If he lures everything around to us and it appears that we're going to get attacked, then I want you to wake us all up.
Affirmative. Instruction confirmed.
And with that, the rest of you follow your corporal's orders and proceed to muster outside of the barrack rooms with Dilly already out there waiting. Dilly, as you're waiting for the rest of your squad, you'll see that obviously there's a whole bunch of other soldiers that started to move around the keep. Training has started out in the training ground. There's soldiers marching. There's they've started to work on the range, all that sort of stuff. It's just there's a plethora of sort of activity going on around the keep at the moment, or just starting to. It's like everyone's started to filter out. You see that other squads have started moving out of the keep as well. And it's about then you notice the sergeant moving across the parade ground towards you guys.
Dilly would see him coming and already start standing at attention.
And about then the rest of your group starts to join you, and they fall into order like they should do, as Stormhammer purposely strides across the battleground, the parade ground, warhammer in hand, he's moving with a purpose. He's got a scroll in one hand and his hammer in the other. He walks up to you guys and looks at you as you all sort of have formed parade. Would you say you all formed into attention right away without being told?
Dilly would have.
Does everyone else follow suit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Affirmative.
Tolvia will follow the group out and make sure they're in line, and then move to the other end of the line from Dilly.
Marius has joined you as well. And with that, exactly that, Stormhammer sort of strolls up to you and he's noticed before he's gotten to you that you're all there waiting, ready. And he doesn't smile, but you definitely know that he's noticed that you are all at attention before he's gotten there. Good morning. All right, you lot, we got a new quest, if you will, for you guys this morning. Another test of your abilities. See how well you do at this one. First one was easy, I guess. Nothing really happened from what you told me. This time, however, I will be expecting a full report, Corporal, on what exactly happens, what things you find, what you don't find, so we can find out exactly how good or not good you are. I see you've met your new recruit.
Yes, thank you for the assistance.
Well, you're now at full squad. You will follow. He will follow your orders. Don't you worry about that. And this particular order has come directly from the Queen herself, so I'm sure you will follow it without question, Corporal.
It is an honour to serve here.
Indeed it is. Right, you lot. We have got a wee gem for you. It is a to the northwest of here. There is an old ruin. It was once, well, it still is kind of, but it was once called the Bastion of Eche. It used to have a vampire living there many years ago. Not so much these days, but we've had a message from a scout, one of our scouting parties, who is, they suggest that there may be cultist activity. Actual cultist activity, none of this old shite that we sent you on the other day. This is real. This is something you will not go into lightly. Do you understand, Corporal?
Yes, Sergeant.
This is essentially a live fire exercise. These cultists will more than likely not be friendly. They will not come quietly. Your orders are to stay alive, firstly. So it is on you, Corporal. The decision that you make, and for you and your squad, is on your head. Whether you dispatch of said cultists if you find them, or if you capture them, bring them back. It's up to you also. But you will go to the Bastion of Eche. You are to investigate this potential cultist activity. If you find anything, you will investigate further. Caves, ruins, buildings, outbuildings. It used to be an old manor house, so there'll be many outbuildings as well. Have a good look around, see if you can find anything, and then report back. There's no time limit on this, of course. I mean, you do what you do as long as it takes.
Excellent.
It's about 3 days ride. About a day's ride north, and then a couple of days ride to the west. I do suggest you take a mounted approach this time, unless you want to walk. Of course, it's up to you. It would take you nearly 5 days on foot, however.
Excellent, Sergeant.
Right, here are your written orders with the instructions, and he hands you a scroll. Inside the scroll is all the information you'll need. So it gives you a location on the map where the Bastion of Eche is located. It gives you the orders as they are. Investigate the Bastion of Eche and its grounds, outbuildings, main building, whatever, in the surrounding areas for cultist activity. If you discover cultists in the area, capture if possible, kill, doesn't matter. The choice is basically yours. The cultists are not to be trusted. You could potentially negotiate with them if you want, but they generally will lie through their teeth to get what they want. That kind of thing. A very direct sort of order in this about. The supplies, Sergeant Stormhammer says, as far as supplies are concerned, visit the supply store, get what you think you might need. You know how long it will take, whether you are on foot or mounted. You know it's going to take you at least 3 days mounted there and back. So you're looking at least 6 days worth of supplies. We are limited on things such as healing potions and the like, but if you still have some of the items left over from your previous deployment, then you might not need any extra. Just bear that in mind. Right, as you were, dismissed, head out at your leisure, Corporal.
Excellent. Thank you, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
And Stormhammer turns on his heels and heads back towards the officers' quarters.
as the sergeant leaves, I'm going to turn and look at the corporal and suggest we get, so even if we are going mounted on the mounts and everything, to still get more rations than what we need. I still have the rags for to gag them if we need to. Do you still have the manacles, Corporal?
I do.
How many have you got?
So, did they give us the medical stuff each, or did they just give us one? What was before?
You were all given the medical items each. So I think you were given 2 standard healing potions each, from memory.
Yep. Medical kit.
And a medical kit, yeah.
And 1 cure poison, 1 lesser rester pot.
The restoration one was a single item given to you. I believe you were given 1 cure poison each, from memory, but the restoration was given as a one time thing for you.
Yep. Sweet. Yes, I do.
You will also be aware that LV would have none of that because he was not with you when you deployed last time.
So we need to get the same things again for LV and more rations and another pair of shackles for what do you call it? Another pair of manacles for LV as well.
Did we all get manacles, or was it just the corporal?
There was 1 each.
He got 1 each, yeah. So you all have a set of manacles each. So LV, so again, we can expedite this a little bit. So LV, you can add to your inventory 2 standard healing pots. I would say you will all get, if you're looking at rations for the journey, like the total journey, 20 rations would probably be the number you'd be looking at each. Because that'll definitely ensure that you have enough there and back, and extra if you get delayed. LV, you will also have a pair of manacles or shackles, whatever is in D&D Beyond. You have 1 cure poison potion. And a medical kit.
Man, I was really,
Sorry, go ahead, Grim.
I was really hoping the sergeant was going to say we were going to test our metal, and that would have been really funny of him. You think?
The puns.
Dilly will also ask for some extra rope.
Oh, and you
From the
have 50
supply.
feet of rope too, LV. Before I forget that.
But yeah, Dilly will also ask for rope, extra rope.
How much extra rope is Dilly looking
Just
for?
another 50.
Another 50? No worries. So
Yeah.
you can write down. Just be aware, guys, we are using encumbrance, so keep an eye on your sheets when you're adding stuff. Because once you get to, obviously, if you hit that encumbrance level, your movement speed will be reduced. Bear that in mind.
That's why it's only 50 feet, because I'm like, if I go any further, I think I might be risking it.
So you'd be getting pretty close, I'd imagine.
I'm not, I don't think I'm too far up, but I don't want to risk it. I'll
Yeah.
have to put it in there at the end of the session to make sure.
Yeah, just double. With those sort of things, we just keep an eye on. Just bear in mind that we are using encumbrance, so just keep an eye on it.
Yep.
But yeah, so that is pretty much it. So Earth, you would have you added your 20 rations to yours as well, because obviously everyone will get that, and Malrath can add his when he comes in.
I assume we'd have water skins.
You all have, if you don't have them, add them. You would all have at least 1 water skin that would be full, which you are able to refill if you can find a water source, obviously.
Sweet. And we'll probably definitely take the horses.
When you get to the stables, the stable hand looks at your group, and then grins from ear to ear, and leads you to a portion of the stable. You open that portion of the stable up, and you don't have horses. You were offered the giant goats, and you can see he's loving this, and you can almost roll an insight check, I'll get everyone to roll an insight check if you want, because especially those that know the sergeant. So LV probably doesn't need to make this. But everyone else, I'll get you to roll an insight check for me, please.
4.
4? My God.
Yep.
12.
23 from fucking Various. Holy shit. Even a 12 would probably do it. So Various definitely. Dilly, you definitely get an inkling. You get an inkling of this. Uth seems to be busy talking to someone else. Roll an insight check for me, Uth. So those that it's only a DC 10. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty obvious that the sergeant has instructed the stable hands to not allow you to have horses and to give you the goats because you get the impression it's probably because your training with the riding wasn't exactly the stellar training. No one really stood out. So it's almost like you're still being punished for not really passing that course overly well. So you
sucks to be Marath and told his goats.
Yeah, Tolby's pretty heavy. But again, they're giant goats. So they're a good size. They're slightly bigger than a horse, which is probably actually better for Marath specifically. Marath is not happy either about riding it, just so you know.
What does Dilly get?
Dilly gets a regular size goat.
Thank you.
Just as a note too, when LB was handed his equipment, he would have said to Tolvir, it seems I have poisons that I've made left over from whenever. Do you wish me to keep these?
So you got 400-year-old poison.
3 vials of poison that's 400 years old. You'll call DM on what happens with it when it gets used.
Ooh, okay. I'll make a note of that. And yeah, so would LV accept the rations he was given?
That was the other thing. LV would have said, this item is not needed for this unit.
Okay. Almost forgot about that. So yeah. But yeah, definitely, yeah, we'll be definitely making a small note about the 400-year-old vial of poison. It may do one. We'll do a D6 roll when it comes time. It'll be an odds and evens. It'll either work extremely well or not at all.
Yeah, that's fine. I figured as much. Yeah. So, and he's got the capabilities to make more in the future too.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Let them know that.
So I'd say we'll give the dice roll over to you. So you roll it every time you apply the poison that you currently have, those 3 vials. When you attack with them or use it, you'll roll a d6. Odds, it won't work, nothing will happen. On an even, you'll get an extra damage die added to the poison damage, whatever that. I think it's a d4 on poison from memory.
Yeah.
So you'll get it'll be a 2d4 if you roll the evens. So essentially, given that whole fermentation sort of vibe to it, of it over 400 years, it's become more dangerous. Or it hasn't, or it's just become nothing. And if you roll an even on a use, that whole vial will be null and void, and it won't work. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, and then the enemy has to roll a con save anyway, but we'll get to that when it happens.
Yeah. So the con save it will be negated if it does nothing. So if you get the odds and it does nothing, then they won't even need to make the save. So we'll deal with that when the time comes. So I think that'd be kind of funny. So you gain yourselves your mounts. And based on your guys' training, we're going to get everyone to roll an animal handling check as you organize your saddles and get ready to mount up. So I will get everyone to roll an animal handling check, please, and I will roll for Marath.
I kind of prefer the goats, if I'm honest.
We got a 7 from Marath. Tolvir with a 12. LV with a nat 20. Holy shit.
Good first roll of the game.
Varys with a 15. What did Dilly get? 2. Not good for Dilly. Uth, what is yours?
18.
18. So you're not done too badly at all. So Dilly and Mara struggle with their mounts. It's not a natural one, so you're not going to be. It's not going to be too bad. It's still really low, however. So, Dilly, as you go to get up on this goat, you get up there and you sit there for a second, and then it kicks out really hard. It starts bucking and kicking, and you do fall off the first time. You don't hurt yourself, but you fall into the pile of hay, and it's like, fucking goat. And you turn around and you sort of try and calm it down. It takes you a few moments to calm it down, even to the point where the stable hand comes over and starts giving you a hand to calm it down. Then he holds it for you while you get back up on it. And you look awkward on this thing. Even though it's a regular size goat, you still look awkward and you struggle with it a little bit. Eventually it moves and follows your instruction, but it's all very awkward looking, and you're not overly happy about the whole idea. Marath is much the same. He doesn't fall off this thing, but it initially doesn't want to move. Like, it really just doesn't want to move. He gives it a kick in the flanks and just sort of stands there chewing whatever it's chewing in his mouth. And in the end, you guys would see him. He reaches down and just slaps it across the top of the head. Big open palm hand. And it gives the thing a fright, and it starts moving forward. Almost like he's just telling it who's boss without any problems. Like, he's not going to put up with any shit. Everyone else did okay. Various, I say LV had no problems at all. He's up on this goat. It's moving, no dramas. Where was Varus's roll? 15. So yeah. So Varus, you were pretty good too. I think you learnt from the previous lessons to be maybe a little more gentle, stern but gentle with this creature, and it seems to move without too many hassles. And same with you, Tolbear. You don't like them. They don't like you, but they've been reasonably well trained, and it does eventually move. And you move out as a group slowly but surely. It takes a little longer because of Dilly. So the speed of the Dilly's goat is going to slow you down a little bit, but not too much.
Just before we leave, Tolbear would ask LV if he needs anything like to survive on. I mean, LV, I saw you turn down rations. Do you need anything that you need to live?
Negative. As long as I get a rest period of at least 6 hours per 24 hours, I shall be fine.
Excellent.
And with that, you head out. And Dilly, yes.
I was going to say, as we're heading out and Dilly's struggling and she's watching LV doing quite fine, really well, in fact, she's going to slightly abuse her authority and go, LV, if this goat decides to do anything stupid, you're responsible for maintaining its control.
Affirmative. Order is recognized.
Thank you, LV.
That's a bit harsh, Dilly.
It's either that or I kill it, so let's be real here.
Oh, poor animals.
With that, LV would ride up beside Dilly and take a half rein of the goat and give it like a tug just to sort of rein it in as he's done with his own.
Yeah, you'd have to bend down to do it because you're on a giant goat, she's on a regular sized goat. So yeah, there's a little bit of a distance there. But
Sweet. I feel like
if she would have handed up to you, it would work. So it wouldn't be too much of a hassle.
I feel like with his Warforged body, he'd sort of slide sideways a little and angle the saddle and just grab it like no fear, like a kid, you know.
Yeah, no worries. Easily enough done. Anything else as you're heading out? Anything else you want to talk about before we sort of leave the keep?
Dilly, and I don't really want to bring this comparison up, but my brother Trass, like, he's a bit of what we call a dude bro, and when he would get out of control, kind of like this goat here, just headbutt him. So next time the goat gives you trouble, just like really hard.
Have you seen how big I am, Darius?
You've got to show authority and dominance.
I'll give it I'll give it some thought. And Dilly's thinking of all the ways she could possibly do some, you know, shocking revelations with it.
Toby is trying not to smile, but secretly he's thinking, it looks like meat might be on the menu this trip.
Right, so you leave the keep. All the noise of the keep behind you. The clanking, the clanging, running water. And you head out back on the road. Kill that, and we're going to give you some ambient noises here. Not the dishes noises that you can hear in the background, however. Just the regular noises. Oh my fucking god, woman. Jesus fucking Christ.
That sounded like she dropped that on purpose.
Yeah, potentially. I can't find my noises. Where are they? Well, apart from Nutty's noises, of course. Tonight's Folly Sounds brought to you by Nutty, exactly. Every time a coconut. I'm gonna give up soon. I really am.
As we are slowly walking along, further along the track, Dilly's actually going to ask Elvie what their experience with cultists are, since they probably had the most dealings with them as far as she knows.
Alvy's experience with cultists as follows. Alvy was ordered to kill cultists. Cultists were killed by this unit.
What about vampires? He said something about there was a vampire there. I've never seen a vampire before. Have any of you seen a vampire?
No, but I hear they suck the life out of you. Real draining at parties.
Oh. What about you, Mr. Uth? You seem into the nightlife. Have you ever met a vampire?
No, not that I want to. I'm just gonna fall back a bit and wait by myself.
Anything wrong, Uth?
No, I'm good. Just that scream that Elvie heard, yeah, it was a nightmare. It's unsettled me a bit.
Stop being a pussy, Ruth. Hard nut, man. Jesus.
That'll be a new section of the book.
Aren't you supposed to be, like Mara Taturin says, aren't you supposed to be a soldier? Like, really?
Would Private Uth like Lv to assassinate?
No, I'm good.
Order confirmed.
Assassinate what, though?
The nightmare.
You could do that? Man, you're going to be really handy. That's super impressive.
Don't encourage him, please.
So once again, you head out to the trade road, heading north as instructed, following the map. Early morning, there's a few people on the road, a few travellers and that, but not as many as you struck the last time you travelled this road. You start to head northward for the first few hours of your journey. What do you guys discuss amongst yourselves heading out on this journey? is there anything you guys wish to talk about? Unless we expedite further forward to maybe the first night.
So, upon finding out anything from LV about cultists, she's going to ask everybody else. So she'll turn around. So who's closest to her would probably be Various or the Corporal.
I would, again, that would all depend on Tolvier's orders. He would order a formation. Whether he travels up front is up to him. So you want to give me a marching order, Tolvier. How would you form your group in this travelling party?
I'd say Tolvie would be at the front, and you just say sort of keeping a group. He has had said the anti-marching order, but in the past, but they are technically riding. So
I mean, it's just any kind of formation. So we did 2x2, single file.
Oh yeah,
Well,
2x2 sort of keep to the side of the road.
Okay.
Well, technically, LV's next to Dilly, so she ordered
Yeah,
him
so
to take control of
so
that.
LV will be with Dilly. So whether you're in the middle or the back, that's up to you guys. So we'd have Tolvir and maybe Marius at the front. I'd say Marius would probably put himself up the front, being the bigger of the group. He'd want to be at the front in case something happened.
I'll be behind as usual.
So you want to be at the rear, Ruth? You said you were dropping to the rear, so I would say Varys should probably drop back with you. Keep an eye on you and maybe take some notes as Dilly and LV are kind of almost bound together as LV is helping Dilly with the goat. So that would put you guys in the middle.
So pretty much either or could hear.
You could talk to anyone. I mean, you could talk loud enough that the whole group would be able to hear. You're within sort of
So
10 feet of each other.
So I will. So I'm going to go. So has anyone dealt with cultists? I don't really know what their agenda or anything like that is. anyone know?
Marius pipes up and says, I don't know much about him. I just know we've got to kill him.
Same as Marath. Don't know much about him, but we have to kill him. All good.
I mean, we don't have to, but it's fun.
Yeah, I still don't know much about cultists. Like the last conversation, I don't even know what they look like.
Well, next time we run into a cultist or something like that, you can ask them.
Perhaps Various can document it. What about you, Corporal?
You said the cultist to closest, did you?
The sergeant didn't give you any specific deity or entity that they worshipped. He just said that it was cultist activity. That's all he said.
Sure is. Just depends who they follow. If they follow a good leader, then they're not really cultists, they're just followers. But if they follow
What is your definition of a good leader, Corporal?
just depends on...
Not him.
Ace? Please
Yeah.
don't. I don't want to have to punish you again.
LV pipes up as soon as Tolvi is verbally attacked, and the private first class says something, and he says, "Orders, would you like me to assassinate?"
LV, stand down on that order.
LV standing down.
Wow, tough crowd. Dilly, I have a question for you. You're a magic user, yes?
Yes.
What magic, warlock, wizard, sorcerer, what?
Sorcerer.
Do you need a book or you know the spells?
That's a tough question, Eth. More or less, I pretty much learnt the spells as I went along. It just sort of came to me. Sometimes you can forget those spells, so I tend to write whatever I can remember again down. It depends. So where I'm from, there was a warlock, and he used to have to write down his not warlock, a wizard. The warlock got killed. The wizard used to have to write everything down, and he used to have it in a book, and he used to have components to be able to make his spell work. And he used to have like component pouch and everything that came with it. So if he didn't have the components for it, he couldn't do the spell. So we were forever going to shop after shop. If he'd ever stopped drinking long enough, he might have actually had enough money to complete them. But you know, that kind of thing. Me, it's a focus. I don't need components. I rely on my focus. You're a magic user, aren't you, Various? What do you use?
I just sort of do. Although I do write some stuff down as well. It's helpful to remember, but I feel like mine's sort of like an innate gifted ability. But I understand that some magic users get their powers from different sources.
Well, Amara actually, and she had a god, and she got hers from her god, and that's how she gained her power. So that's probably it. All depends, and the warlock, depending, they have someone who gives them their magic. I was just kind of born with mine, I guess. Maybe I think. But yeah.
Are you magical, Mr. Uth?
Hang on.
Your abilities are not considered magical. They're just, you have,
I know.
yeah, you have an inane ability, basically.
So I'm going to use telekinetic movement on Various.
What are you going to attempt to do?
Just moving forward on the goat a bit.
Is there any kind of save with that?
No.
And how much can you move with it?
Hang on.
Because I think there's a weight limit on that, yeah?
You can target one loose object that is large or small, or one willing creature.
He has to be willing.
Yourself.
Yeah, he has to be willing. So if he's not sure what's going on, I'm not sure he'd be willing to allow it to happen.
All right. I move a rock in front of his face. Just levitate it there. I don't know, Various. I'm not sure.
As this rock, coming from seemingly nowhere, floats up and hovers in front of your face for a moment before being... What do you do with it after that, Uth?
Drop it in Varys's lap.
There you go. Is there now? Describe how you levitate it. Like, is it strictly with your mind? Do you use your hands to guide where it's going?
Strictly with the mind.
How would he know that it was you doing it? Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, he wouldn't.
There you go then. So you hear Uth say, "There you go, Various," as this rock sort of floats in front of your face for a moment, then drops into your lap. You can assume that's him if you wish. Otherwise, lay it out how you wish.
I just got this magic rock.
You might want to hang on to it then, Various. It could be useful, maybe.
Yeah.
A magic rock.
Yeah, it just sort of floated up in front of me and then fell in my lap.
Dilly's going to use Mage Hand and it's a cantrip, by the way,
Yep.
and lift up a rock and put it in front of Various while she's slightly looking behind her. Like that?
I've still got a roll on my table, even though it's a cantrip.
Hmm.
No, you're good.
I can see the mage hand.
Mm-hmm.
Don't I? No,
I believe that's up to
hand.
Dilly whether it's visible or invisible.
Ooh, I never thought about that. If I could, I know what it looks like when it's visible.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that correct me if I'm wrong, other DMs out there, I'm pretty certain that Mage Hand can be visible or invisible.
Yes.
There are certain traits that make it visible and invisible. It will state in your character sheet
Okay.
usually.
So if it doesn't state it, it will be visible. Yeah.
Correct. Certain sorcerers can make it that way, and certain warlocks can make it that
Okay.
way.
Cool. Thank you.
No, it's visible.
Okay. So,
So you
you
just see
see a
this-
visible hand.
Lightning skeleton kind of hand just popping in front of you. So it's not quite a hand, like you can't actually see it being a hand, but it's like this
It's-
skeletal lightning kind of thing coming towards you with a rock.
So we would say forks of lightning in the shape of a hand.
Mm-hmm.
No, there wasn't anything carrying it. It just sort of it came up and then it sat in front of my face for a bit and then it dropped in my lap.
Come on, Drax.
then
I'm
I
taking
throw
note.
the-
I'm taking note of these puns too, guys. I mean, just so you know.
And then I'll throw the rock in the air and try and get it to.
You throw it up.
Yep.
Comes back down. I'm not going to make a dex check to see if you catch it, but depends on how high you're throwing it. But it, yeah, no,
Maybe
it
you don't have your tongue in the right position, Various.
seems like a mundane rock to you at this point, Various.
Oh. Maybe it was one of those like magic anomaly things.
At that, Dilly's ears will perk up. Really?
Yeah, didn't the sergeant say something about magical anomalies?
Yeah, Mara sort of pipes up. He goes, "Yeah, they're all over Paradigm, supposedly. Can't see them though."
At that, Dilly is going to cast Detect Magic
What level is
'Cause-
detect magic?
at first level, because this would be her thing. She wouldn't let it go.
Okay, so you cast detect magic, which gives you, I think, a 60-foot area of detect magic for 10 minutes, I believe.
Yep.
So as you do so, Dilly, you're all sort of moving together. You're not moving slowly or fast. You're sort of moving at a good pace. So you've been traveling for a few hours, and at the talking of the arcane anomalies, Dilly sort of ears prick up, and she starts. You can see she starts to use her somatic and vocal components. The focus lights up and does its thing on her ear like it normally does, and then she releases it. As you do so, Dilly, can I get you to roll a d6 for me, please?
5.
So, for the next 5 hours, you all now, as you're sort of watching what's happening, Dilly, you sprout little wings. Start to sprout from your back, and they're not like fairies' wings or anything like that. They are more bird-like, sort of golden feathers almost. Sort of golden brown and tan, and you feel it. You look back and you try to look at it, and they're big enough. You sort of concentrate, and they start to flap, and you start to lift off your mount slightly, and then you sort of let it go, sort of being a little shocked by it. Let it go and drop back to your mount. So for the next 5 hours, you have a 20-foot flight speed as well.
Dilly, what did you do?
And everyone would notice this because they are very noticeable.
As I'm doing it, do I detect any magic since that was a spell?
The only magic you would detect is the magic, any magical item that any of your party are currently carrying within that 60 feet.
A little research.
Wow.
And Dilly's gonna flap the wings and just lift up again, drop that down.
No
Ashes-
worries.
And she's
Sorry, as she's doing that, LV would his head would rotate right around, seeing something weird, right around to the central point again, and he would say, scanning, and I'd like to just check the area for weird things, because he's seen something strange go, so he's just active scanning now.
Welcome on in, Mr. Sadiq. we'll fill you in on what's happening in just a moment. So what are you looking for specifically, LV?
Just things that are in the area, like check our tail, check our sides, make sure we're not
so
getting...
roll a perception check for me. As you do a scan, as this random thing has just happened to Dilly as she sprouted wings. A natural 20, oh my god. Damn. A natural 20 from LV. So as your head rotates on its axis, 360 degrees, you scan the area. You do not see anything that would alert you to any threats in the immediate vicinity.
Okay, so I'd say scanning. Odd anomaly, no threats detected.
One thing you do, there are a few things you do notice with a perception check of a natural 20. Uth is visibly tired. Obviously, and he does look visibly shaken. You can see that he has, even though he's still cracking jokes and doing what he's doing, he still seems nervous a little. He's glancing around a lot more too, which is not, I mean, you wouldn't know, but it is definitely out of character for him to be as alert as what he is. He seems to be watching for something, maybe. Definitely seems weird, a little weirded out. Dilly is kind of a little shocked at the wings, but also very, you can see a little smile creep across her face as she now has the ability to fly for a short time. Varys, I would say, is definitely watching Uth a lot more closely. Well, he's always watching Uth, but he's also watching ULV as well. You can see the glances that he sort of glances over at you and sort of like he's scanning you up and down every now and again. So there's a lot of things that you sort of pick up on with that natural 20 that no one else would normally see. So Marath, just to give you a quick update, you guys have been given a mission to head to the Bastion of Eche to investigate potential cultist movement. Your corporal's orders are pretty much that he's in charge, and your whatever you do there is up to him. So this is a open mission. There's no capture thing. It's if you want to kill something, you kill it. If that's your orders of your corporal, whatever goes kind of deal. You've left the keep. You've been traveling for a few hours. There's been talk about magic and who has the ability to cast magic. So I haven't actually given them any information about Marath and his divine magic. So whether you want to fill that gap in at this moment, or you can keep it yourself, it's up to you. But Dilly has
any yet.
Don't have any yet. Okay, so Dilly has just cast detect magic at the talk of these arcane anomalies, and in doing so, it appears that she has become victim to one of these arcane anomalies and has just sprouted wings. So that's pretty much where we're at. And you're basically heading towards the Bastion now. So,
Tilly, I have to ask, why did you cast detect magic?
would Uth even know what detect magic is, and would he know that she's cast it? That's the question.
Actually,
Probably not.
he'd have a suspicion
Roll
of
an
something
Arcana.
was...
Roll an Arcana check at disadvantage because you are not proficient in Arcana. And what would Dilly's vocal component be in common or in gnomish? Just so I know for future reference.
You'd probably hear the word magicata.
Okay. So
if it's with the vocals, so
I've got no
magicata,
clue.
and that would be all.
yeah, if you wouldn't know it was a detect magic, you know she's done something, obviously, because this effect has happened. So you know she's cast something, you just wouldn't know what the specific spell was.
Tilly, what did you cast?
I just needed to detect magic to see if there was anything around. Since that rock was supposed to be magic, I thought I'd have a look.
Is the rock magic?
Well, as far as I know, I can't see it.
Right. Okay.
Can I do an
Wait a
insight
minute.
check on Ooze to think if he's messed with something?
I don't even think you need to roll an
can't see
insight
the
check.
You can't see the rock that's right there?
No, Various ended up with
Oh,
a
it was a
rock
different
in
rock,
his
yeah.
lap.
Yeah, so Uth had levitated a rock into Varys's lap, and Varys thinks it's a magic rock.
So that's why Dilly cast
Yeah,
Detect Magic to see if it was.
With the insight check for this, if you think that, I mean, outside of meta, do you think Dilly would suspect Uth at all?
She suspects Ooze for almost everything.
Okay, roll an insight check. Because I mean, I want to try and keep as much of the insight in the RP as we possibly can without making the rolls. But yeah, there will be obviously those times
Yeah,
we will need to.
this particular time, after what he said, you know, and you're like,
Yeah, because he was very sort of specific about what you were looking at, so makes sense.
So insight, I believe, is a +2, so that would be a 16, I believe. Let me double. Yep, 16.
Dilly would definitely be suspicious. I mean, obviously you wouldn't know 100% whether he's outright lying, but he's definitely being Uth at this point.
So at this point, Dilly's not going to call him out on it because she's too delighted at the fact that she's got wings.
Makes sense. So Marath, you've been hearing these conversations backwards and forwards with the group. They're talking about their magical abilities. Dilly sort of talked about her being a sorcerer. Uth they asked Uth and he said, well, not really. And then Varys talked about his magical abilities and where it sort of come from. Talk about the floating rock, but not much else has really sort of happened at this point. It's just basic travel. With Maris sort of called Uth out for being a bit of a pussy after having a nightmare, and waking during the night. And he sort of tried to drop back and say he's a little unnerved and rattled by it. And Mara turned around and said, basically, you're a soldier, harden the fuck up. Kind of figured that's what he'd say. So, anything else you guys wish to discuss in this travel before we move forward to your first night's rest?
So for the next 5 hours, because she doesn't know how long it's going to last, she's going to only float up a little bit and then float down a few times. And she's also going to see if she can wrap the wings around herself.
They're not that big. They're big enough to give you flight, but not quite big enough to get all the way around. Like they might come around your shoulders slightly.
Yeah.
You do have a certain amount of control. Yeah, you have a certain amount of control. And yeah, so for the next 5 hours, you flutter up 10 feet, back down to the horse, or back down to the goat. You go, try and see how far you'll go. You get up that full 20 feet, and you realise you can't get much higher than that. You come back down. And it's a bit of a novelty, and whether the rest of you react when she's doing this or not is up to you. But every now and again, you just see her flutter up with her wings and flutter back down. I mean, you can fly around the group if you want. I mean, you don't have to be riding the mount at this point.
Because she doesn't actually know what it is, she's doing like mini little tests to see how it is. To pretty much, she's trying to work out, okay, so this happened and that happened and all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the 5 hours, once it's all said and done, she's going to think about it and go, something's kind of playing on a memory.
Okay. So what I am going to do, however, because you don't know how long it's going to last, I'm going to get you to roll a d6. On an evens, you're in flight when it wears off. If you're on odds, you will not be in flight when it wears off. That doesn't look good.
That would be a 6.
So, as Dilly, you think, oh, it's pretty cool, and you decide at this time. You've been testing it for a while now, and so you decided you're going to do a quick circuit around the group. Sort of take off and sort of start fluttering around the group. And you got a pretty good speed. You get up around the front, you come around the front past you, Tolvir, and then Tolvir, you'd be the one to see it as she passes around beside you, gets to your side, and then the wings just go, and Dilly, boom, 20 feet to the ground, instantly. Dilly, you will take...
Does Dilly have enough time to realize what's happening to cast a spell?
Is it a reaction spell? Because this would be reactionary.
No, she wouldn't. So no, she'll take the damage.
I have a
yeah.
question for the DM.
How about we do Tolver first, because he was the first one to pipe up, and we'll come back to you in a minute, Oath. Tolver.
If she's near me, would I have the ability to catch her?
As a reaction, we would say possibly, definitely possibly, because she would be right next to you. So I will get you to roll a dexterity check to see how quick you are as you see the wings disappear.
Not
And-
very.
And you reach out, but you are too slow and you miss. Now, Uth, you have a reaction. Remember, you're at the middle of the pack.
Yeah, I get that.
So
Is
you're a distance away, maybe 15, 20 feet, I would imagine, maybe a little further.
Okay, I know I used the ability before on a rock. Would I still have the ability, or do I still need to take the short rest?
How often is it a short rest?
Yeah.
You are traveling on horseback, which means you're not really doing a whole lot. No, I'd say no. To take a short rest, you actually have to be not doing anything. You are concentrating on maintaining your skill
I just let
in the
Dilly fall
saddle.
then.
Yeah. So unfortunately, you're maintaining your riding skill, maintaining your place in the saddle, and things like that. So unfortunately, no. Dilly,
All right, all good.
you fall, you plummet to the ground 20 feet, and you'll take 6 points of bludgeoning damage as you hit the dirt.
As she does that, she's gonna hit it, but she's gonna roll over and jump up like she's fine.
The minute she hits the deck, LV's protections would set in because he has to defend, and so he will jump straight off his goat and run to her side and say, "Private, first class, do you need aid?"
Yes, LV, can you help me get back on the goat? I think it's best if I travel
Affirmative.
on the goat. Yep, if you could just help lift me up, that would be great.
LV would attempt to just pick her up and take her to the goat.
Roll a strength check. Because I know your
Dilly's
strength
only-
isn't great, but Dilly's not
Nope.
big, so I'm not going to give you
Tilly's only
disadvantage.
45 pounds, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we'll still get you the
It's
strength
okay.
check. Yeah, it's pretty good.
16.
I mean, even though not too bad. You managed to pick her up, carry her over to the goat, plonk her back in the saddle.
Servo's working at 40%, 50%, 60%. Everything seems fine.
And you regain your saddle also back into your mount. And we will...
Thank you, LV.
Once that is completed, before we go to break, we're going to take a short break just in a moment. Before we go to break, I will get everyone to roll a survival check to search for an appropriate campground for your first night's rest.
Scanning.
So we're looking
Nothing viable
for
found.
DC 12.
23.
Tolby with a
Gilly's
23.
still hurt.
Marius with an 18. So we got... Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, with all of you roll, even the low rolls, it just takes a little bit longer, but you manage to find an appropriate campsite. You pitch your tents, you organise yourselves, you get a fire started as the sun starts to draw in towards the evening. And we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be right back. So Marius can go get himself a coffee if he hasn't done so already. And he's got it. We're going to take a break anyway, and we'll be back with the guys camping. Just in one moment. Be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the way they should. They should go
Yeah.
that way again.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
we're
I thought it was cool.
back. What's up, chat? And we're back. And as we get back, you are settling yourselves in to your campsite. Let me know if you guys can see everything. You guys should all have your tokens on there. Should be, I mean, you won't be able to see everything. We will set the time right, the time of day correct first. About dusk. Stop the horses from moving because all the horse sounds. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So you guys set yourselves in for the evening. Pitch your tents, you get your bedrolls organised, you get your fire started, you cook some food, you've got rations. Marath, add 20 rations if you haven't already got them in your bags. 2 regular health potions and a cure poison potion is what you'll have, and a medical kit. You'll have that standard as your standard supplies heading out. So you are all now seated. You've had a long day's ride. Nothing really happened in the journey. It was you saw a few citizens. They waved to you. You waved to them. You had your discussions. Poor old Dilly had a little accident.
Got to see Dilly fall on her ass.
Pretty much. She's probably still feeling a little bruised, and probably Pride's a little bruised as well. Maybe, who knows? But you're now getting into the night as the sun starts to go down. So I'll turn it back over to you. You can set your watches for the evening. Discuss whatever you wish to discuss as this first night camping.
Corporal, I'll take the darkest watch again, which is just before dawn.
Before the dawn, which would be the final watch.
I go and sit next to Uth.
You can move yourself where you wanna go.
Oh god,
If
I
you
have
wish.
to see Uth.
I can move
I
you if you
can't-
want.
That would be great because I can't even work out which one's Uth because my eyes are doing funny things to me right now.
Who's closing all the doors? If it's not your door, leave it alone.
I don't even know which one I am.
You can zoom in and see which one's yours.
I zoom all the way and see myself.
So Uth, you by the fire.
I'm actually there. I'm
Hello.
at my tent.
Oh, Varys is running around.
Who's closed my door? Leave my door alone.
And Jilly will just sit on the floor. She's quite used to sitting on grass and everything like that. Why are you so interested in magic all of a sudden?
It's to do with my parents.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what were they?
Warlocks.
Warlocks. So wouldn't you have some kind of understanding about warlocks?
They died when I was young, very young.
Oh, sorry. Mine are still alive. As crazy as they are, I think. I'm not sure anymore. I can't find out one way or another. But you know. My mother was, she left where she was from, but she had some magical ability, and my father did too. I probably got it from them. Just a natural gift. But yeah. So, if they're warlocks, do you have, say, their focus or their item that they got from, I think thoughts, and Dilly's racking her brain for the what it would have been for the wall, for the warlock, the packed item from the warlock.
No, I have nothing of my parents. Just a very hazy memory.
Roll a wisdom save for me, Uth, please.
Wisdom save, you say?
Yes, please.
I'll do it over here because. Do it over there and get low. Awesome.
You start to develop a nagging headache. Like that, you get that pressure on the back of your mind, and it just starts to build slowly. It's not super painful, but it's just really annoying at this point.
Does he look slightly a bit worse? That I would ask, is he okay?
He doesn't. He looks like he's tired. I mean, you guys have been riding all day, so you all look reasonably tired. I don't think he would look any more tired than anyone else.
Yep.
At this point.
About what time of day or night is it?
It's right on dusk, so it's right as the sun's setting.
Have you had your food?
Yeah, I'll probably have something to eat and go to bed. I'm beat.
Were your parents what the nightmare was about and all the screaming?
What? What are you talking about Various?
Well, you had a nightmare, right? And then was that about your parents? Like,
I can't remember.
you can't remember your nightmare?
Various. I get the feeling that this might be a touchy subject and might be better left for a bit. I understand your curiosity, but sometimes people don't want to talk about stuff.
I guess maybe that makes sense.
Gilly's going to pat Uth on the back and say, get some food and then look at getting some rest. Work out what watch you're doing. And Dilly will go back to in front of her.
Don't we have a tin can to do that?
Tin cans can't see in the dark. So
It can hear, can't it?
yeah, but someone else still has to stay up with it. You can't just leave one. Unless we're in town, and then you could just leave one person on watch, but we're not in town, dude. So you can take last watch.
I believe Gilly's got that.
Okay, second to last watch then. Or third to last watch. Actually, wait a minute. Shouldn't the corporal, the guy that actually is meant to be running the show, fucking tell us what watches we're on? We don't get to pick.
Yeah, I don't see him doing much of that at the moment. I don't know why.
Then he can do all the watches. If he's not willing to put the rules out, he can do the watches. Sounds fair to me.
Well, you guys were so busy deciding, I thought I'd just shut up and let you do it, since you so obviously outranked me.
Apologies, Corporal. I thought it was logical that I took the last watch since it's the darkest time of the day and I'm the only one that can see in the dark.
I would agree with that.
And she's going to sit down and let them work out the rest of the watches, and she's going to start writing out the whole notebook, in a notebook about the flying with the wings and documenting everything she felt, what she could do and all that kind of stuff,
No problem.
Well, Corporal, if you want to decide if that'll make you feel better, like, we could just let you decide if that's what you like.
Okay, well, why don't I take first watch, Marath and Tin Man take second, and Varys and Uth take third.
How about Various and Tin Man take third? Tin Man doesn't need to. Tin Man doesn't need to sleep.
Corporal, I can be a sentry's rest. I can always be on watch.
Yeah, he's basically always on watch. We just need someone else on watch with him. Pretty much.
Okay. Well,
That's what he explained last time. Except we need to get the upgrade, the optional extra upgrade, and get him to...
What are your orders, Corporal?
we could poke your eyes and put out and put Dilly's eyes in your place, and then you'd have the upgrade.
Orders
Touch me and
confirmed.
die.
I don't think that quite works.
Touch me and die.
Is Deli talking to Tolvir or is she talking to LV?
She's talking to anyone who hears, considering. So it's not a direct comment. It's just a touch me or die kind of comment.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's at everybody at this point.
Hearing that, Tolvir would look at LV and say, "Don't do anything. That was a joke."
Affirmative.
How are we meant to wake her up if we're not allowed to touch her?
Can any of us cast shock or anything like that?
Do you have a voice? Use it.
Yeah, okay, you can use that.
And she'll go back to her notebook.
What is it with my parties that they just can't get along?
We talked about taking her eyes out. We're crying out loud.
I got a corporal that
right
can't
now.
give orders, and I got a party that doesn't get along.
We get along. It's just that we're a dysfunctional family.
Exactly.
Marius likes everyone.
Like, that's scary on its own.
Okay, then. Or if Tin Man can be awake all night, then I'll take first. Marith can take second. Varys can take third. Jelly can take fourth, and Uth just looks absolutely exhausted, so he can just sleep or not.
Thank you. We'll make it up tomorrow. I hope.
Yeah, he can take first watch tomorrow.
Yeah, that works.
Good plan.
That sounds like a plan.
So, with Tolvir's orders in place, anything else you guys wish to talk about before turning in for the evening?
I'm turning in now.
You can put yourself inside your tent and close your door, and you won't be able to see what's going on outside. There's a reason why there's doors on the tent.
Oh, that's cool.
Maraf, do you do any magic by chance? You just hit things really, really hard.
That's pretty magical, isn't it?
I mean, it is,
When-
and you're pretty large too. That's
When you hit someone in the skull and their brains go flying out their nose, that's pretty magical.
I've never done that before, but it sounds kind of gross, really.
Yeah, Evie would probably be able to show you. He's probably strong enough to do it. Maybe.
Have
Advantage,
smashed,
LV.
Have you smashed someone's brains out of their skull before, LV?
Sorry, DM, what did you say then?
Advantage has been given to you in the chat.
Oh, nice. So your question, sorry again, Grum?
Have you ever smashed someone's brain out of their skull?
Negative. I use these, and he brings his arms up, and the curved blades snap out of both. He goes, slicing and dicing is my preferred technique.
He's pretty heavy though, so he probably could smash a skull, maybe.
It'd be a pretty deadly weapon if you dropped him onto someone.
I'll write that down.
So, what did you guys get up to yesterday afternoon? Like, when we had the day off? Do anything fun?
We had a day off.
Well, you kind of had an afternoon off, Marith,
Afternoon
just kind of. kind of, sort of, not really.
I don't remember getting a day off.
No, not really.
Study.
I mean, I think we all did a bit of study.
Well,
We
actually,
were all
Mara probably only got
working.
about a couple of hours off. The rest of the group got the afternoon off, yeah.
That's right, he appeared at the end.
Yeah.
Question was aimed at the other two.
Oh, I did some research on the Dragon Wars and tried to learn some more about the arcane stuff. Something's bugging me and I can't work out what it is. Jilly's gonna close up her notebook. Since I got last watch, I'm gonna go on my tent and get some sleep. Have fun, you guys.
Have a good night.
Oops. And in she goes, and
No worries. Leaving LV, as Marath headed into his tent to sleep as well. When
I've
you're in
already
there.
done
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just for
Yeah.
RP purposes. So Marath,
I'd do a little bit of study of the Steel Lady and then
no
contemplate
problem.
Evie.
No worries. This
How
leaves
about you, Varus?
Varys and Tolvair and LV.
I did a little bit of research on the Warforged. I didn't find out much though. But I guess I can learn like from experiencing.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, you got the best position to find out. Well, as much as any of us. Find out all about them. You should probably get some rest so that you can get up for your shift, unless you want to talk about anything else.
I've got some notes to make, but I suppose I could make them in my tent. Well, keep a watch out, and if you could like take note of like if Uth starts screaming, I mean, just for research sake, you know, like.
Alrighty. He's gonna look at Alvi and say, if you hear Uth screaming, take a note. Just and tell us in the morning.
Confirmed.
Excellent. Toby is going to find a long stick and stick it in the fire, and when one end of it's burning, he's going to take it in his tail and just sort of walk around the edge of the campground.
Okay, no worries. That'll give you a little bit extra view. So you can actually do this. I'll turn your torch on for you. When you walk around the perimeter of the camp there, it'll actually give you that extra view there.
LV will also, his backpack, his back shoulder blades part will open. He'll pull a 400-year-old torch from his backpack and put it into the fire and try and ignite it too. What happens?
400. Roll a d6 for me. Evens, it is consumed almost immediately. Odds, it burns, but it'll definitely burn a lot faster than a regular torch. Yeah, it catches a light and burns almost immediately. The whole thing the flame comes up the torch heading towards your hand.
LV just drops it into the fire calmly and takes the other 5 out of his pack and goes, interesting, noted, and drops all 5 of them on the fire to keep it going for the next hour.
No worries. So with that, I will get both of you to roll a perception check. So you'll only be able to see what you can see in the map. Obviously the distance, the flame from the fire, and obviously with your torch moving around the outside, so you don't have a huge amount of vision. But this is not just based on vision, this is based on hearing as well.
We got a abysmal roll of 8.
6 and an 8. Holy shit.
So LV's using Sentry's rest to get his rest, but he still has perception and hearing available. So
Yep.
I believe for me it's a normal perception as well.
It is, yes.
Of 13.
so that's not too bad. Tolvir, you're wandering around the camp with your torch lit, and it sort of illuminates the trees and bushes around the exterior of the camp. And every now and again, you think you catch the glimpse of something, and then realize, oh, it's just a shadow of the torch flickering on the bushes and the trees. You don't really see or hear much else in that particular moment. LV, however, you hear something to the north, cracking of a branch, it seems, and you instantly turn in that direction.
Yeah, my body would at the waist just turn right around, like most of the way to the direction of it, and he'll say, "Corporal Tolver, noise to the north."
Alrighty, I shall have a look, and if I see anything, then we'll wake everyone up.
Instructions for me is to wait here.
Just join me there and come up to the top by the camp, head to the top tent and have a look.
Affirmative, following you.
So you move towards the north end of the camp. Move a little bit further out, sort of hold the torch up and scan the trees. And as you're looking around, you can't really see any movement. You're not entirely sure. You wait and watch for a little bit, and the sound doesn't come again. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, nothing. How long you wait there and sort of watch is up to you, but it doesn't seem that anything else seems to be moving at this point.
I guess it was nothing.
Albie would move back to the opposite side of the tent, still in a bit of light, just so he can see Tolvir, and he would go and silently say, "Activating stealth." And Tolvir would see, just at the edge of the tent, the panels on Albie's arms and shoulders and things all fold over as it's like a mirrored effect, but it's like a pots and pans. It's not really shiny, it's a mirrored effect, and it sort of just takes the area around him as he's using the tent as a space to hide, and I would like to stealth.
Roll stealth check for me.
16.
As far as you're aware, you are stealthed. So, the rest of your watch goes without too many sounds or that going on about. Again, you hear the occasional owl, maybe a few rustling bushes and stuff, but which you would probably pass off as wildlife. At the end of your watch comes Tolvir, and LV is sort of standing in the shadows. He's not moving, but every time a sound can be heard, like a bush rustling or a twig snapping or whatever, the usual sounds you get in the forest, his head or his body will turn slowly in that direction. So he's definitely aware. Even though he looks like he's not doing anything, you sort of see him move every now and again.
Yeah.
So your watch comes to a close. No drama.
Go and
Wake
wake
Marath. How do you wake him?
He's going to stand at the entrance of the tent, and with his tail, he's just going to wrap it around his ankle and sort of shake him. So, oi, Marath, it's time.
What time?
Time for your watch.
Yay. Okay. No worries. Get some sleep.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna just walk out.
No worries.
Great thing about not wearing armor.
You do. You don't have to take you don't have to take any time to put it on. So you step out of your tent into the firelight. You the fire's still going. LV every now and again walks forward and stokes it up, and then returns back to his stealth position, if he so wishes, or whatever he does. And
Affirmative.
it is now your watch, Marath. Is there anything you wish to talk to LV about at all during the watch? You going to talk to him about anything, or just...
I'd be studying him just like from distance, just watching what he does and how he does stuff, because I've never seen a Warforged that actually works.
You're probably right. I mean, I'd say with your life, you may have seen the occasional broken Warforged during your time as a fighter.
Yeah, we literally just used it as something to beat on.
Pretty much.
For training.
An old training dummy, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, you've never seen one working before, so it probably is a bit fascinating.
Yeah, so
although the one you probably used as a training dummy was probably a little bigger than LV, although parts missing.
Look, we're not going to go into the details of, but size doesn't matter.
I don't know.
But so kind of just sitting back, just keeping an eye out around, but at the same time just watching what he does. It's like, so that's what a working one's like. Okay. The still lady works in mysterious ways.
Indeed she does. So, you watch him for a while. Again, as I said, he moves in every now and again to the fire as the fire starts to dim down as it burns, and adds another log or two, and then moves back into the shadows. And I think you just closed your door.
Yeah, and I can't reopen it. There we go. Now I can actually move out.
So yeah,
I would actually be staying, because I prefer the cooler.
Yep.
I'd be staying kind of on the outskirts,
Okay.
just walking around.
if you right click,
Behind the tents.
if you right click on your token, you'll see a little flame icon. You should be able to turn a torch on or off if you want to give yourself some extra light. You should all have that, except for LV, who has no torches right now, because all his were old and crusty and he threw them away.
Good point. How many torches do I have?
You would have, I think you start with like 10 natively or something stupid.
Yeah.
So
About 10.
you could easily give him one if you think he needs it, but
No, I'll just use one and let
stop
it burn.
flashing your torch, Uth. It could be tied to your inventory, so every time you turn it on, you might use a torch. You might run out, so just be aware of that.
That's what you think it is. You think he's flashing his torch.
Oh, well done. So you move yourself away from the heat of the fire, as it's more comfortable for you in the cooler area of the forest. And it's not super cool. It is springtime, so this is probably, it's going to be leading into summer sometime soon. You know, it's probably going to be a little uncomfortable for you. But the night here is definitely a lot cooler in general. So as you watch LV, he makes his motion back towards the fire, stokes up back into the shadows. And he seems, when he's in the shadows, he stands perfectly still, doesn't move at all. Whenever you hear something, whether it's a rustling of a tree or a cracking of a branch or even an animal sound, his head or his upper body moves in that general direction. And quite slowly. It's not like he snaps around unless he's possibly perceives something as a threat. But trying to remain as silent as he possibly can. And he's pretty good at it. Like when he's in the shadows, you can barely see him on the edge of the firelight. Get you to roll a perception check for me, both of you once again, please.
And same thing, whenever he finishes stoking the fire, LV moves to the edge of the tent and he activates that stealth. So
Yep.
I can do it once per watch if you want.
I don't
that's
think.
not
Yeah,
stealth.
I mean, roll it for every watch you take. Yeah, so you rolled it for your last watch. Roll another one for this one.
17 for this one, and my
Not bad.
perception is 15.
And Maras perception.
A giant 6.
Well, it's kind of fitting because you are watching LV and probably not concentrating on the watch so much. And LV, however, again, same thing. You are scanning constantly. You're listening. You're waiting for any kind of sound. When a sound hits, you turn in that direction. And most times you could probably determine that it's an animal sound. But with a 15, was it 15 you got? 17, 17, even better.
17.
Again, you hear that. You think you hear the cracking of a twig, but then you hear off to the east a little bit. A stifle.
Sorry, Dean, it's 17 for stealth, 15 for perception.
15. Either way, you'll still hear it. DC was 15. So you'll hear that stifled cough come from the east.
Okay. After I hear the cough, I move extremely slowly to Marath's position. Well, I say slowly. I walk, making as minimal noise as I can.
Yeah, well, you got a 17 stealth. I mean, you will be walking into light.
Into the light, yeah. And I just say, Private, there is a cough coming from this direction, and my body moves and I point.
So I hand LE the torch that I've got, and then I rip out another one and light it from his one and go and investigate.
Affirmative. How do I activate a torch?
Right click your token and hit the flame icon.
There's a flame icon, eh?
Yeah, it should be the top left of your token.
And I'd actually stick the torch kind of against the peg on my one.
Okay.
So I can move away from it if I need to.
Okay.
But still have because I got to have both hands free. So
no worries. So what I will do then is I will add a little light source here, which would do just that. So your torch is on the edge of your tent there, which is illuminating that area.
I don't have a flame icon. Do I have to have a torch in my pack for it or something?
I would say you have to. I mean, I can turn it on for you. I'd say it probably could be tied to your torch in your inventory.
Sweet. So
I've turned it on.
Torches.
Yeah, I've turned it on
Cool.
for you. So you should.
So which way did you say the noise was?
It was coming from this direction, pinging on the map.
Okay, sweet. So we will stealth. Well, no, he won't because he's got a torch in his hand. He will just walk towards that position as stealthily as he can with a torch in his hand.
Okay. So how far are you going to go out?
So if the cough came from this direction, I would go, I'd stop and listen, and walk further, stop and listen.
Okay.
I've been given an order, so he told me to investigate.
Yep. So as you move out, you sort of in this area here, I think you see something move in the darkness, just outside of the range of your torch.
Okay. Investigate was the order. He moves forward again and scans the area. Scanning.
And you see slight movement, and you should be able to see it now on your in front of you there. As you sort of see the torchlight coming, he shoots him behind the stump there, but you can still see him just over top of the stump. He's even on the edge of the thing. It's, whatever it is, it definitely looks humanoid, and it's definitely armed. Looked like he was carrying looked like he was carrying a sword, perhaps.
LV would open his jaw and go, "Alarm! Someone is here. Weapons abound," as loud as he can.
And with that, you would also hear, "Attack!" as this person, whatever it is, crashes out from behind the stump, revealing itself. And that's where we're going to call tonight's session, because we're about 10 o'clock, and this could go a little bit longer than half an hour, so we'll call it early. But the man that you see is dressed in, seems to be leather armor. Not super impressive leather armor, but serviceable leather armor. He's carrying a large, looks like a scimitar or a large longsword type weapon. He is wearing dark blue shirt, brown pants, but it has a very distinctive green sash around his waist.
Sweet. So as LV calls out, not having any other instruction, he would have tried to head back to Mararat as well.
Okay,
so
you can move.
move.
Yep, you can move your full movement back to the camp.
Okay, sweet. So it would be roughly there, I think.
Yep, and we will call our session there, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't want to carry on too much longer, Drax. I mean, we could be looking at maybe an hour. I don't know. I mean, I know Baz has probably got an early start tomorrow. I know it's Anzac Day tomorrow, isn't it?
It's Anzac Day for us, and I do have to get up for the dawn parade at 5. But if everyone else is happy, I'm fine.
still have to get up early. So.
Yeah, so
You do,
we'll
so
call
there
it
we
there. We'll do the combat start at the start of next session. So we will call it there, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us again tonight. I know Marath probably would have loved to got onto a bit of combat before we finished, considering he was here late. But hopefully you can join us next Sunday and be here for the whole thing. If not, I will again control Marath and beat the shit out of people. So we should be good there. So we get back to our title screen here. So, ladies and germs, that is another session from us this evening. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I appreciate it very, very much. Baz for the resub, 27 months. Appreciate that as always. And oh my god, Elil Rich Hammer. Electric Hammer. Oh my god, I can't read for save myself. Electric Hammer with the follow. And Macarandi and Cheese with the follow as well. And we had also had a raid from Dungeon Oasis tonight too, guys. Thank you so much for the raid. Appreciate it. So we're going to quickly go around our crew and get some moments from tonight's session. Pretty interesting session. Some pretty cool RP. We'll start with Uth, Mr. Trashman. Since you were late, so we'll start with you. And more than half a sentence, please.
The one I enjoyed was the wings on Dilly. Love the wings.
Yeah, so that definitely was a wild magic effect, and that the wild magic table again is courtesy of Baz. This is his table that he used, a revised version of the table he used for Sanctum. Did Mina sub too? Oh, she did too. 26 months from Mina as well. I did see that there.
Also, like the fact that I can deceive Various quite well. for now.
For now.
Yeah, for now. But we'll see what happens.
I think you're all doing pretty well. I mean, there's a little bit of arguing there. I don't know how that's going to go. Tolby, you need to rein your squad in, dude.
We're dysfunctional. What else would you expect?
I mean, the military sort of regime here is getting a little laxed, guys.
Hey, we're out of barracks.
Various, a moment or two from you, please.
I too like the wings and the way Dilly experimented with them. LV, like every time something came up, he's like, "Would you like me to assassinate? Like assassinate the nightmare or
exterminate?" That's what was going through my head every time he did it. It was Daleks.
Yeah, and I kind of like the slightly confrontational, like Marath's, like, you know, and it was before Sadiq was with us, but the bit about suck it up.
Earth bigger pussy.
Yeah,
suck it up, Buttercup. Get over it.
Interesting group for sure.
Oh, definitely, and I'd say gonna get more interesting as time goes by. Dilly.
Again, like everyone said, the wings. I just love the fact that she had them, and all I could think of was she'd do that. Also, I liked Marath turn around and say, "Well, if we can't touch you, how do we wake you up?" And I'm like, "Well, Dilly's pissed because she fell on her ass." So
yeah, a little bit of a bruised ego. So
yeah, so she's a bit short-tempered at the moment. Also, other things that happened as well. But yeah, I like the fact that Uth went, "Well, how do we?" Not Uth. Marath goes, "Well, how do we wake you up then?"
We'll yell at you from a distance.
I have distance spells. And there was something else. I can't remember what it is now. It was something that you said, and it was out of context. So yeah, like I can't remember. It was just very Apologies. Brain's a bit off tonight.
That's a good. I can't remember what I said either. So I said lots of stuff. Mr. Tolvir.
I think it was Grim that said, "I wish it said we should test our metal." That we had the construct.
I think that's when I replied with, "I'm keeping track of your guys' puns, just so you know. Things may happen if you pun too much."
I had LV asking to assassinate things, and I had LV Dobbing Uthan
For his
Not
screaming like a
very-
little girl.
I had others as well, but that being said,
No worries, Mr. LV.
So, what I noticed was Tolvir, anytime like Stormhammer or someone said something about LVs in your crew and you've got to do as you're told because the Dragon Queen said so, he's like, yep, I'll do what I'm told. That's my job. He's real sarcastic about it or something. I'm not sure which that is. It's like he has to do it, so he's just agreeing. And Maroath, pretty magical when you hit someone and their brains come out their nose. It's awesome.
Indeed.
Just as a note, thank you everyone for the advantages and inspirations. I have an inspiration from Revan Master from first game, advantage from Error Code, and advantage from Dual Cripple. So thank you. I'm banking these.
Yep, they definitely come in handy, and you may need them. Mr. Marath, from the second half of the story.
The whole, like, how are we meant to wake you up if we can't touch you? Like, okay, I'm gonna send the robot in for that one. That's what I'm gonna do. So yeah, you just go wake her up. I don't care how you do it, just wake her up. But yeah, I think that was pretty much it because
Second half.
Didn't get a lot.
No, well, hopefully we'll get you in for a full session soon. With any luck.
Not next week though.
Not next week. No worries.
Yeah, I just checked my roster.
Yeah, no worries.
Looks like I will be working. So
yeah, that's all good. We'll definitely get you in for a full session at some point, and hopefully something interesting happens. But okay, IRL schedules is always going to be a bit of a pain, but we'll work around it. We'll do what we can. For me, pretty much all of what you guys said. Just the mini moments, obviously rolling on the arcane anomaly table, and then using the wild magic. Actually utilizing those tables properly this time, since I put them sort of reinstituted them, and it worked really well. And you got a reasonably good one, so it wasn't anything super nasty right off the start. But yeah, just sitting watching you guys talking and thinking, well, Tolvir the corporal is sitting back and just letting you guys make decisions, and I'm thinking, okay, when's the corporal going to speak up and say, I'm in charge here, you guys do what I fucking tell you? But nope, he just let it roll, let everyone dig their little hole, and it may come back to bite you guys at some point, possibly, who knows. Interesting to see how that plays out. But as I said, next week we will be starting with a combat, as you appear to have warranted the attention of somebody during the course of the night. So do not mark off a long rest. So Dilly, your HP will still be where it was before.
Oh, I say nothing.
I did short rest so once they did the watch, I did a short rest to give myself up one because I was resting.
Don't do
So I only
that
did one
unless
dice.
you clarify it with me first.
Okay, no worries.
But I will allow the short rest because you would have been
Yeah.
resting long enough to get that. So you can use a hit die
Yeah,
to regain your health, but in the future just clarify that first that you're allowed to do that.
yeah.
So everyone can do that at the very least. I don't think anyone else would need to, because you're all at max health and spell slots and stuff.
That
just
was before I knew there was something
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Either.
Well, so that's why I say don't do anything until we get to the end of a rest or anything like that. So if we're looking at a camp situation, generally that would be a long rest. If you have rested long enough for a short rest, just sing out and say, look, do we get a short rest for that? Because we've rested X amount of at least an hour, and 9 times out of 10 I'm going to say, yep, go for it.
Yeah.
And roll a hit die in accordance to that. But just but don't just go ahead and do it until we've gotten through the situation, just in case something happens. Because I do have random tables for such occasions, just in case. So so we're good for that. So tomorrow night, or tomorrow is Anzac Day, as we all know. So Remembrance Day for obviously fallen soldiers. I will be streaming tomorrow night doing some map making stuff. So do come and hang out if you're able. I'll be doing the basement of the Death House for Curse of Strahd. We'll be making a start on that. That should be a lot of fun. We've completed the Death House itself, which was awesome. And moving forward on that, we will then Tuesday, I'll be over on Yanti's channel doing the next episode of Call of Cthulhu Tuesday. So definitely come and hang out with us with that, because that's been a lot of fun, and that should be an interesting continuance of the story. And then back here Wednesday for more maps, because we have no D&D, because Curse of Strahd's finished. But like I said, guys, the poll in the Discord is open if you're interested in the Into the Snake Pit mini adventure. Put your interest in. As I said, if I haven't heard from Chicken about it giving me a start date within a couple of weeks, we will go ahead with Into the Snake Pit, and we'll get a group together. We'll get some characters rolled up. We'll get some Hereford stuff done, and we'll do the Into the Snake Pit one, which is not about snakes. It is and it's a slightly different module. It's not a typical dungeon crawl, so it should be a bit of fun. So that's us, guys. We should probably raid, because I always forget that. Where are we? Yeah, I was gonna go Dawn Parade, but I don't like getting up early, and I haven't got a car because Nutty's working nights, so I don't think I want to walk that far. We're gonna switch that off. We're gonna open this up. If you've got anyone that you would like to raid, let me know. Otherwise, we will probably... Aussie Dev Fro's on. We've got... Good Tommy is on. Cuddly Raptor's on. Josie's on. Stormy Dragon Trials is on as well. There's quite a few on D&D tonight. I'm going to raid Josie. So all these guys, Cuddly Raptor, Josie Poser, Weddis Orb, and Aussie Dev Fro are in the same game. Josie is their DM. So we're going to raid Josie. They are in episode 55 of Dramonia, which is their homebrew campaign, I believe. Well, Stratford canned the Dawn Parade. I think they got one in Inglewood as well. I saw the flags, the crosses and stuff out at the Cenotaph, but I'm not sure if they're actually going ahead with Dawn Parade or not.
I think MP one was cancelled too.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, my mum's got the Andrea's kids here, and they wanted to go, and apparently she said something like Stratford was canned, but Hara's still doing theirs. My kids are involved in it for the school, so
okay. Yeah.
Well, as far as we know, they haven't told us. So if we take them there, there's no one there.
Well, you'll soon know if there's no one there. But yeah, so like I said, I'll be streaming tomorrow anyway, because I stream on Mondays. So we'll definitely see you guys then. And take care, have fun. Don't do anything weird and wonderful unless you want to, of course, as long as it's not illegal. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Bye.